The Steam controller just came out, and our biggest hangup was the price. So we're looking at a controller that sneaks in quite a bit under, and if you're only looking for that gamepad functionality, none of that trackpad or nonsense, the Vader 5 Pro from Flydigi might be a very interesting option for you and for me. I'm at the point with my Cyclone 2 where I'm maybe considering a replacement, and this is at the top of my list for a number of reasons. The top of them being these adjustable tension joysticks. As we explored with the 4 era of Flydigi's product in our 16-way controller roundup, these adjustable joystick tension thingies are friggin' sweet. Whether you like really light 40-gram force or 100 grams of force, you can kind of lock in the tension you want. And with the latest version of the Vader 5S Pro, these are actually ratcheting, so it's less likely for them to slip as you play and the tension to switch. Good sticks are important, but what about the rest of the controller? On the top, we have our Flydigi button that is actually a button this time, not just a logo. We have our select, they're not called that anymore, menu options.
We call it overlapping squares and 3 dots.
On the top, we have our joysticks. We have our floating D-pad that is clicky and will do a fine job getting you through your menus. If you're planning on using this D-pad for precision controls, stop planning that immediately. This is not what that is designed for. Over here, we have 4 clicky mechanical buttons, which I have grown to really like clicky buttons on my controllers, as well as 2 extra buttons. So if you're playing them Sega games or Xbox original games, you got actual face buttons. The click on these is actually quite different. It's substantially less satisfying. You can even hear it. But that's fine. These are things you can assign to extra controls. I don't think they're gonna be primary inputs. So just having the extra options is nice, especially when you go to the top, there's extra little option bumpers here. Like the 8BitDo 2C, we have 3 shoulder buttons on each side. We have our regular big boy bumpers with a textured plastic. And then we have our triggers that have a ton of features hidden inside we'll get to shortly. And then we got these little clicky bumpers. I think, just like the 2C, they're a little bit far of a reach that I probably wouldn't use too often. But in games where I'm like, I really wish I could assign 1 extra control, that is nice. And they feel pretty good, as do the bumpers. They don't feel even across the button. Over here, it's a much more satisfying click. Over here, I can feel the plastic doing sort of a lever thing before the mechanism actually activates. Still pretty good though, would have no problems, especially the way I hold it. Like most of my finger is on it anyway. Just like the triggers. And similar to other Flydigi products, we actually have mechanical stops to make them the competitive style little hair triggers. Ooh! And these are really satisfying. You hear that sound? Also on the top of note is our Type-C charging port. You can also use this controller via wire. In terms of connectivity, there is a 2.4 gigahertz dongle included. You can use Bluetooth. On the back, we got the trigger stops back here. We have pre-installed paddle buttons that are built into the controller. We have our 2 slots to add extra paddle buttons with attachments that are in the box. We'll actually do the real unboxing later. And then the 2 little buttons actually for the extra back paddles as well. And then we have our mode toggle. So we have dongle, Bluetooth, Nintendo Switch mode. It's important to note this won't work out of the box with a PlayStation or Xbox console. You can get adapters that do work with that, but by the time you buy those adapters, the value proposition of this controller is severely weakened. It's time to go out to our field reporter to find out if this controller connected to a Switch 2 can turn it on just using the button.
Switching this into Nintendo Switch mode, holding the button. I need to be hitting the bumpers. Oh, nope, there we go. It's connected. Takes you back home, but it will not wake the console.
Wow, incredible. On the bottom, we have our function and turbo buttons. That's not stuff I'm in the habit of using, but I know some people are very passionate about those, so power to you. We also have our LED strip that will light up in desperate search of a dongle that is not plugged in right now. Of note, just like the Steam controller, there is no headphone jack, which may or may not be a deal breaker for you. But features are what features are, baby. Let's see how this feels in the hand. It feels like I'm holding a really much improved Xbox controller. It's got a similar grip style you can kind of see in terms of the angle, but it has a more rubberized plastic, sort of like the Elite. I think people are gonna be a little bit mixed on this. I don't like rubber on my controllers because that puts a counter down for when this controller will be absolutely disgusting and oily. That being said, today, it feels really nice and really premium. We got the textured back, the textured bumpers and triggers. There's a different type of plastic here that has little speckles in it. So I think that's a neat touch, although I don't think they go quite far enough to make it super two-toned. When it catch the light, it feels more different than it looks. In person, it kind of just looks like dark gray and dark gray with flecks in it. I wish this had more contrast. I think that would make it pop more. That being said, that's as nitpicky gets, baby. I actually got too excited about this controller. We need to see what else is in the box. So you get a nice little thick manual in many languages. You also get ads for other Flydigi controllers, from the Doom Fox all the way to the Apex 5. I wanna cover both of those. Let us know in the comments which one you're more interested in me covering. We also have other products like a phone cooler and a laptop cooling pad. Also in the box is a 150 centimeter cable. That's just under 5 feet. It's not the cheapest cable I've ever felt. It's rated for USB 3, which is nice. Pretty good housing, will do the job. We also have our dongle, regular ass dongle. It's definitely not as cool as the Steam controller one, and it doesn't have the functionality of plugging into your cable or charging your controller, but that's fine. Last thing inside of this plastic is our extra rear paddles. They slide into the back here with a little satisfying click. And if you've been paying close attention to Flydigi's latest controllers, you'll know that some of the early ones had a really bad back paddles where they would break really bad. And you'll be glad to know that this is actually the V2 of the Vader 5 Pro. And they fixed the part inside the controller that was just a little plastic loop that was breaking, so it should be more reliable. Although I do have comments about the fact that there's a V2 that it's hard to know about. We'll get to that later. Wow, that's actually surprisingly seamless. I was expecting it to feel like the difference in back paddle would be quite drastic, but they feel very connected to each other. Like there's a little bit of flex on the levered ones, but I'm getting a satisfying click, and if I needed 4 back paddles, this would be certainly adequate. Although I would like that plastic a little stiffer. One thing that is slightly painfully missing when you compare it to something like the Cyclone 2 is there's no included dock. Not the end of the world if it keeps the pricing more accessible, and the fact that there is an optional dock for $25 is pretty nice. Let's see how this thing is. White. The dock is very premium feeling compared to the pack-in one on the Cyclone 2. I start to understand why they're charging more for it. It's got good weight, which is actually nice because the controller is gonna sit nice and it's not really gonna be in danger of falling over or disconnecting. There is no magnetic click, but the pins go in quite nicely. On the front, we have RGB array for cool RGB stuff. We have our charging pins and the controller mount. On the bottom, we have rubber feet so it doesn't slide as much. And then we get to the good stuff. We have our dongle USB slot. It's the right size for this so that you can actually use these ones just like a USB dock. This Type-C goes to your computer, so you actually get 2 extra USB ports if you use this dock. I actually am more considering this dock than I thought I was going to at the beginning of this video. Just like I'm really considering the upgrade to this Goku Edition Vader 5 Pro. Yes, you heard that right. This Vader 5 has freaking Dragon Ball Z branding all over it. Over here, we have this sort of silkscreen outline of Super Saiyan Goku, and then Super Saiyan in Japanese, as well as more flames. These orange transparent triggers are really nice, and they can let you see a little bit of the mechanism of the rumble triggers of the Vader 5 Pro. Very similar feel outside of the front plate. This feels really nice and premium. This feels sticky and cheap. It's actually cheap enough feeling that even though I really like some of the aesthetic choices on this, I think I'm gonna stick with my base model. Let's plug it in and find out how it performs after I tell you about our sponsor.
If the task of building or buying a new computer seems too difficult or expensive, there's an affordable, stress-free option. Jawa is a marketplace built to buy and sell used computer parts and completed builds. There's plenty of cool computers hand-built with different colors, schemes, and themes in mind. And Jawa manually checks over every listing to ensure quality. Or you can sell your old parts if you've recently upgraded to make back some of that DDR5 money. Skip the hassle of researching, buying, and building a gaming PC for yourself. Buy one from one of Jawa's verified sellers instead. Visit jawa.link/shortcircuit May 26th to get started.
We have our controllers plugged in via the dock. There's a lot of RGB going on. I don't know how I feel about that. Let's open up the Flydigi software and see how it goes. Oh boy, we got some Chinese characters. That's not gonna work for me. Okay, I can infer that this is profile 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. We can set up more configurations if we want. I really only need the one. First off, we can reassign all our mappings. That's pretty cool. Especially for the back buttons where games might not have the ability to map that directly. You can kind of assign a specific input or a macro or something special. Next, we have our common settings, which include the light, dynamic glow, breathing, gradient. We're not gonna go through all these. We're gonna turn it off for battery life. That is quite bright. It might not seem like it in a well-lit room, but that actually would need to go off for me because I don't wanna be made aware of all of this when I'm playing games. You know, I wanna be sucked into the screen. I play video games like it's the never-ending story. I also wanna extend my battery life. This comes with a 1000 milliamp hour battery, which Flydigi says is good for about 15 hours of game. But of course, if you're using tons of haptics or lights and stuff, that will go down slightly. 15 hours is okay. Not great. A Steam controller did like 37, so, and that was at like full tilt haptics going all the time. It's okay. Next we have our vibration. We can turn on or off vibration as well as the intensity. I want my fingers to tingle. That is a rumble motor. That is not haptics. That's not advanced stuff. That's fine. I think most people prefer the haptics, but this would be sufficient. Next we have our buttons, which is just another way to remap. Then we have our joystick. We can change our sensitivity curve. We can change our circularity algorithm if we want to have it be a rectangle where it's basically more forgiving about slightly being off axis when you're trying to go forward, or perfect circle. If you're using Hall Effect or TMR sticks, usually you want the precision of the circle. But that being said, we haven't even talked about what technology is actually in these sticks. These are Hall Effect sticks as well as Hall Effect triggers. Now, Hall Effect technology is better than potentiometer-based sticks like you have in all three of the first-party controllers. However, we have entered the golden age of the tunnel magnetoresistance sticks, which basically has the precision and long life of Hall Effect with lower power draw. So that might actually be part of why this has a pretty okay battery life, is these Hall Effect sticks, while precise and should have a long life, other than the centering spring maybe dying out or giving out on you. It's a shame that they haven't upgraded to TMR sticks in an era where they are getting cheaper and cheaper. Go back to our software. We can basically have our dead zone or offset. We are gonna leave things at default. Then we have our gyro sensors. I also haven't talked about the freaking gyro in this. It's got 6-axis, baby. Yeah, more features than you can freaking handle. I know not everyone's super into gyro aiming, but I am definitely coming around to it in the right games. Basically what that means is you can still aim with the right stick, do your big macro movements, and then little micro adjustments with the gyro. Gives you extra precision, pretty freaking sweet. Next, we have our trigger settings, and we can change these independently of the trigger, which is nice because sometimes you want one to be really, really quick, and so you want to optimize around quickness and speed, and the other you want to be a little more immersive. Or you can have them be the same. We can turn on and off the vibration of the triggers. Next, we can change the stroke setting, which basically means that like it'll get a positive press faster the more sensitive you set it. Then you can change your vibration intensity. I don't think there's a vibration test, which is fine, but I'm gonna put my vibration intensity to 100. Next, we have our trigger amplitude, which seems to set the minimum and maximum range for the trigger vibration intensity, as well as our vibration shielding value, which basically is like a dead zone for activating the trigger depending on the game. We're gonna leave these at default and see how our games do, starting with Forza Horizon 5. Let's actually switch back to wireless mode so we can comment on that wireless latency. Oh, I also need to turn off the lights on the dock. What are our dock settings? Light mode, diagonal flow. It's kind of nice to get a little preview on the screen. Okay, I'm a little more into this. Custom. Okay, yeah, you can put like videos in. It doesn't look, you can upload videos. Let's see how this works.
Apply to the device. The amount of RGBs is great for a controller dock, but it's not quite enough to have like a full-on story told through this thing. Right now it's just like a beige to green. You can kind of tell Mike, but you can't really tell Linus. That's okay. We're just gonna go with something I like to call off. In the software, we have 4 other options. One is intelligent start, which basically knows if the controller is plugged in and will turn off the animation and show charging. We have lighting sync, which will keep the RGB of the dock and the controller connected. You can have it close when shut down, which basically turns off the RGB when the computer's off, as well as you can change it to be a power display, so it'll show you how much the controller's charging with this cool little animation. I gotta say, for 25 bucks, this dock is a pretty decent value if you're getting this controller. I'm turning my RGB off and I'm turning my gamer fingers on. Let's freaking play, boys. These rumble triggers really do rumble. And the way that the trigger meets the plastic housing here, I find actually vibrates kind of uncomfortably. Like it does kind of give me that tingly feeling because I'm half my fingers on the stationary plastic and the other piece is on the rumbly piece. I actually wish that the trigger didn't go as far down into the body because then I wouldn't have that problem. It's not a big deal. And I think I would just adjust my grip slightly, but it's enough that I want to continue turning down my trigger vibration. I've turned it down to 25% and this feels much more comfortable for me. It's still quite immersive on both triggers. The resistance also feels very, very good. In this kind of game, I'm not gonna use the competitive triggers, but the action feels good, the resistance is good, and then the triggers, just that extra little bit of immersion. Okay, we're gonna play some Castlevania to test out this D-pad. The verdict is in. D-pad, not so great for retro games. I think this kind of game is the best use of this kind of controller because then you can set the competitive triggers so you can get the faster response. I still prefer doing the competitive trigger for aim down the sights and then full trigger for the guns. Yeah, these sticks feel really good, really responsive. They're whipping around pretty fast. I like my tension set to maximum. I like the weight of the sticks. The back paddles feel really good. And I was wrong. I actually think that these top bumper buttons are not as inaccessible as I first thought. I really like the Vader 5 Pro. I think it's even better than I expected. I think they've done a lot of improvements since their last generation of products. And the MSRP is $80 US, and you can often find it for around like 65, 63 US. That is a really good deal. Here comes the asterisk. This is the V2 of the 5 Pro. The V1 doesn't have the ratcheting tension so that it can slip in the middle of a game. You don't have the metal innards on the back paddle, so those have been known to break. And the centering spring on the joysticks is not quite as good. And it's not really easy to identify online which version you're buying. If you look at the box, the model number here is GPC F50301. If you have 50101, that's a version 1. 301 is the second version. That's the one you want. And I know that there's a lot of the original ones out there. It's still gonna be a good controller, but it makes me really hesitant to buy one online, especially if I'm buying it from a marketplace that's a little bit harder to return. That being said, it's hard to beat the value of $60-ish. Even with this $25 add-on, that's a pretty friggin' sweet ecosystem. And this is a really nice controller. I think if you are really interested in just the joypad functionality, this is an excellent option for the price. I think it has the features that you need for competitive gaming, for more immersive stuff. And I don't think that it's necessarily worth the price up to the Apex. It's nearly double the sale price of this. And then you get the more adaptive triggers, you get bigger battery, you get a screen on your controller. Like, do you guys even want that? So I think that the Vader 5 Pro sits at the sweet spot of exactly the controller I want, if you can get the exact one that you want. Just like I'm telling you exactly the next video you should watch. You should watch our unboxing of the Steam controller video. Plouf did a really good job. He had a lot of the same thoughts that I did, but better.